Hi everybody, to anybody that's new here, my name's Laura Potvin. I'm actually from Northwestern Ontario, Canada. And we just celebrated Canada Day here on July the 1st. I'm a psychic medium. I'm also a spiritual teacher. I'm an empath, and I also am a healer. So I work with energy, and I use my medical intuitiveness. So for those of you that don't know what medical intuitiveness is, in a quick sentence, I'm able to do either in front of you or even distance-wise scan you energetically and help you be able to clear any blockages you may have emotionally, psychologically, or even spiritually. I'm also a registered nurse, but just so you guys know, I don't diagnose. I can't do that with my nursing license either. Those things usually take a little bit more time, so they're best done one-on-one, but sometimes I can do a quick reading. So how I'm going to run sort of this program, so I'm so glad you guys joined me, is I did a lot of reflection with Spirit, and what Spirit suggested we start with, so I always going to agree with them, they know best, right? They want us to start doing a short teaching session before we do the readings, and they want me to start with the theme of your psychic toolbox. So every week I'm going to review something that I've learned that I hope to share with you that you can take away from here that will help you with your practice, because everybody has these gifts. Some people will say, no, I don't have any gifts, but once you start to think about it, there's probably some time in your life when you've said, I trust my gut, or I just know it, I don't know why I know it, or I've got this feeling. That's your sixth sense, that's your intuition. And excuse me, everybody's capable of doing it. The way I look at it is it's kind of like a muscle, right? Once we start to do something, say you want to run, you know, you might run a few feet depending on your physical fitness, walk a bit, and you build up to it. It's kind of the way our abilities are. So I'm going to stop and say hi to everybody. Hi, Eliza. Eliza's my adopted daughter, I call her. Hi, Chris. Let's see how it's. Hi, Jackie and Tiffany, Nicole. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. Hi, Heather. Welcome. Oh, by the way, happy July the 4th, Independence Day, for those of you that are here from the United States. Hi, Heather. Welcome. We've got two Heathers, so I'll call one Heather G and one Heather D. And it's your first time, so I'm so glad you're here tonight. I'm really happy to have you. And hi, Anne. So as I was saying, so we're going to do a quick teaching session, maybe 15-20 minutes, depending on what I'm going to share. On top of that, then we'll have time for readings. So how I do my readings is, please feel free, if it's just a simple yes or no answer, or question, actually I've gotten this, I always give credit where credit is due. Crystal uses this. So if it's something you just need a yes or no on, feel free to just put a hashtag in front of your question, Y or hashtag N, and I'll know that's a quick question. Otherwise, it really helps me if you're more specific what you need an answer on. You can certainly say, you know, any message from Spirit or whatever, but if you're more specific, it doesn't have to be long, but you know, you have an actual question. And for those of you that are new here, and those of you that have been around me for a while, I am a little bit of a oracle card junkie. I think I'm up to 70 different decks. I don't always use them. I use my intuition. I usually listen to Spirit, and if Spirit says pull a card. And before I go any further, they just reminded me, because I can hear my guides, Spirit is just a collective term, for those of you that may not know. It just sort of is an all-encompassing word for people that use different words. Some people may not believe in a higher power, or they refer to it as a universe, source, your guides, angels, and so on and so forth. So as you see, it's a lot easier to use the term spirit. So to continue, once you ask your questions, what I do, I don't take a list. I just go through whatever lights up for me. I'll pin the question, and then we'll answer it. If you've pinned up, say you've typed up a question a lot, say right now, well, mind you, we're going to start with teaching, but when I say I'm going to start readings, and if I don't see it, please feel free to repeat it if you're okay with that too. It saves time so we can get to more people, because I'm not continually scrolling up and up looking for something to light up. So can you ask for a reading for someone else? Hi, Chandra. You can ask for a reading for someone else depending, because if you want an answer about something that concerns their life, I would need their permission. That's something that I would only do ethically. But say you were asking, like I said, it depends what the question is. It would be easier for me to answer it for you, because say, for example, you asked for a medical intuitive reading for your grandmother or your friend that wasn't doing so well. I don't do that. I would need their permission. If I had the time, I could certainly connect through spirit to their higher self, but that's not something I would give a quick question to. I always am really careful with ethics, because we all have free will. So I would pretty well say the best thing to do is to ask a question for yourself. But depending what the question is, I'll let you know if it pops up whether I'd be able to help or not. So how about we go with that? Career-wise for somebody else. I'm trying to think of what opportunity you could ask me. I don't want to say no, and I don't want to say yes. Depending on the specific question, the reason I say that is, say somebody asks me about a career question for somebody else, that's kind of going through 2-3 different people, and I don't have their permission to connect with their guides and angels. Whereas if the person was here, or had given permission, they just weren't able to be here live or something, that way I would. But that's something that we certainly have to consider with spirit when we're connecting and when we're doing readings, especially if you're a person that is empathic or somebody that just gets that information filtered into you, and you're not even paying attention to that. That's something we really have to pay attention to ourselves and work with. Because say you're somebody that's clairvoyant, which means you can see spirit, and you've got a person that you really don't know well, or you're out and about. Even say if I was on live and there was somebody I was talking to, that's not something necessarily I would tell them, because there are certain, I'm not going to name the names, but they'll say, oh, I just can't help myself on TV. I have to go do this. I just can't filter it out. Those are some of the things we're going to cover in these teaching sessions about how to basically set up your sign when your hours are open and when they're closed, because you have that right. And ethics as well. Seems like that's probably going to be a topic that I'm going to work with spirit to create a bit of a lesson about, so you know whether or not it's okay. But I guess the best lesson or best rule I would give you is, would you want somebody else doing that for you? So say somebody went to a session like this and asked a question, you knew nothing about it. How would you feel about that? Because even though we're using spirit, or spirit's coming through me and working this way, think about it if it was live people. So if it's something doesn't give you a good feeling, or it's not something you would want for yourself, definitely wouldn't do it. The last thing, I'm sorry as I'm stumbling because I'm getting information channeled to me. The last thing Spirit wants me to mention is, if you're not sure, if you can, just even take a deep breath, and if you can clear your mind for a minute and ask yourself, is this something I should be asking or doing? And see how it feels in your body. Does it make you feel really uplifted, or happy? You feel, you know what I mean? But if it's something that it kind of gives you a little bit of a tightening in your stomach, or oh, I don't know if I should do that, then that's probably a good sign that that's not something that probably should be followed up that way, by asking a question or giving information, say, to somebody you don't know. Like I say, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to talk about all these things. Sorry, I'm going to say hi to people here. Hi, Morgan. Welcome. Morgan's in Alaska. Chandra's in California. We got people from all over the world tonight. So for anybody joining late, happy July the 4th. I'm from Canada, so I'm only 35 minutes away from the Minnesota border. So I know pretty well most of the Canadians, we celebrate July the 1st, and our US friends travel up to our city, and then we usually travel down for July the 4th. So welcome. Let me see if I missed anybody. Hi, Diane. Hi, Rita and Donna. Darian. Oh, you're new too. Welcome. We've got a couple new people tonight. I'm so happy to have you here. Aw, thanks, Chris. Hi, Helen. Chris said that he loves my shirt. Thank you. I was trying to find something because it's so warm. I just didn't want to wear a tank top. And everything I grabbed just didn't seem right. And it's like I was saying, literally talking, again, using the word spirit, would you please help me pick something? We need to get going. So they actually helped. So I'm going to give the credit to Spirit, Chris. Hi, Chris Stevenson. And is it Tamara or Tamara? I hope I said it right. I'll say Tamara. Hi, Anne. I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody before we get started. We got another Canadian here. Tamara, hi. Welcome. I didn't even expect so many people with it being a holiday in certain parts. I mean, obviously in the United States. But let's get started here. So what I decided tonight is, I wish Spirit would quit out interrupting me. What they want me to remind you before I get started is that if there's anything you're interested in learning about, I just need to grab a drink, excuse me. If there's any topic you're wanting to learn about, please feel free to leave it in the comments. I have family in town and they're out at our cottage, and the problem is there's no internet. Normally I go through all the comments and I do respond to them, so I'm still working through last week's live. But this isn't going to be a regular occurrence, so that you know that I'd like to answer and see what you're saying as well. So feel free if there's something you want to learn about. Okay, are we done? Excuse me. Okay, so I worked with Spirit today, and I had two topics, and what they want me to teach you is a very simple technique, and you will hear some people say that, well, we're connected through our higher self directly to source. There's all different types of thought on this, that when we know that we're connected to source and to a higher energy, that we have a higher vibration, so that we shouldn't be connecting with lower energies. What I've used this technique for, and both my sons have abilities, and I've taught it to quite a few people, is I find that it's very empowering for people that are new to Spirit, or if you're an empath and you're having trouble filtering out things like going to a shopping mall. You get social anxiety with lots of people around. You may be having depression and anxiety, not realizing where it's coming from. And you could very well be picking this up from other people. So I asked Spirit, I had two for you tonight, and they asked that we go with this one first. Now, if this is a bit simplistic, because we have new people here and all different levels of where they are with their spiritual development, that's how we're kind of going to go. We're kind of just going to build from this. So what I call this technique is, it's a shield. But I'm also going to share with you what my sons call it too. And it's not so much a protective shield. What it is to sort of maintain your area around you, your energy area, which is known as an aura. And it keeps yours to yourself. And it also kind of acts as a barrier, if you will. That say you walk into a situation, somebody's having an argument, or there just was one. Everything on our planet is energy. Everything is made up of energy. So we can certainly attract that and not even realize that we're walking right into it, and it affects us. So it's a very simple technique. And I've even been able to teach it to my youngest son, Justin, who has severe autism. And he calls it his bubble. And I've even asked my older son what he uses, and he explained his technique. But how I start is, and I'll walk you through this. So we have a bunch of energy centers throughout our body called chakras. You have one over your heart area. It's actually in the center of your chest, but I'm pointing to, I guess, anatomically to where your heart is. So when you want to set this shield, you can do it in the morning, whenever. And you're going to close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths. And if you want, you're more than welcome to do this as I'm going through it, because it'll help you remember it and then it'll be set too. So you're going to close your eyes. You're going to take a couple deep breaths. So in through your nose, hold it in your chest for about a count of 4 if you can, whatever's comfortable. And then you're going to breathe out for about a count of 6 to 7 seconds. So we're going to do that again. Breathe in through our nose for about a count of 4. Hold it for about a count of 4. And release through our mouth for a count of about 6 to 7 seconds, whatever is comfortable for you. Do it one more time. One, 2, 3, 4. You can breathe out. Now what this is meant to do is just relax you, calm you down, help you clear your mind a bit. I'll keep my eyes open while I'm teaching you this, but if you feel free to keep your eyes closed as I walk you through this. As your eyes are closed, you finished your breathing exercise, I want you to focus on where your heart is. As you're focusing on your heart, I want you to think of somebody or something that you love deeply. As you're focusing on this, I want you to imagine it as your favorite color. It can be any color in the world. It could be a rainbow if you like. As you focus on that area, your favorite color is going to start to grow, and it's also starting to get really, really, really bright, like powerfully bright. So as it starts to grow, we're going to go in the first direction first. You're going to be moving it up through your chest, up through your neck, and it's still continuing to grow all the way up to right to the top of your head where your crown chakra is. Once it gets there, if you like, you can even imagine it going in a direct beam right up to source energy or God or the universe, whatever you choose to call it, higher power. So you've connected yourself. Now, you've got that energy all through the top of your head, all the way from your chest up through your neck. So we're going to start again at the heart, but we're going to extend that beautiful favorite color of yours, light, all the way out through your shoulders, out through your arms, elbows, wrists, hands, right till it's you'll know instinctively, and you're imagining this while you're doing this. You're seeing it travel. If you can't imagine it, because there are some people it's difficult, it becomes easier with practice. Just use the words. Just say, light is my favorite color, brightest, powerful light. Because you're using that love for the person that you love. You could say, my love is traveling out my arms, out through my hands, my fingers. It's also going to be traveling down through your chest, down through to your trunk, if you call it, your midsection, all the way down. It's going to be, obviously, it's going to go down your legs, down to your knees, down to your calves, and then to your feet. Now, once you've spread that light all the way through your body, now this is where you're going to use your imagination. And the reason why I teach it this way is because when you walk away from here, you're going to be using what is familiar to you and feels protective and loving. So, some people imagine that light going all around them in a bubble, and it's a bubble of love. So it's not like we're using it negatively. It's just filling you with the love that you have, that you started with in your heart section here, as well as, I said, if you felt like it, then it's a great idea. You can connect it to source even too, because the energy is going to be coming from source energy, helping to sustain that bubble. You don't want to use a bubble. I know my oldest son pictures angel wings. You can be so creative. There are no rules with this. And the reason I say, and I always say this, you'll hear me repeat it many, many times, I truly believe in my experience and people I've taught this to with anything. Excuse me, if you're coming from a true place of love and you are coming from a place for your highest good, there's no way you can go wrong. There isn't, because you're coming from the most positive energy and positive space. So you can get really, really creative. Like I said, I'm trying to think of some people might use a box. I'll be honest with you, some days I use different colors myself. Now, one thing I'm going to share with you, I'm not really going to get deeply into it because it's my friend's technique. He has even developed layers to his his shield, I guess, and he's set it so that it will always sustain itself. What I do is I set it in the morning, and if you set the intention, I intend that if I have to go out or I'm out and about, that it's there. It's not repelling anybody. It's not protecting me from anybody. But I've set it again with love and for my highest good and others who I may encounter. So, like I said, it's not really coming from a negative aspect, but the reason why I like to teach this is, again, reiterating that when we're first starting out in our spiritual journey and we're still not quite sure how to work with our abilities, or you're an empath especially, or it's called an HSP, they're not the same, but they have very similar qualities in many ways. HSP stands for highly sensitive person. That you'll know if you are, like, you'll know you might be able to feel other people's pain when you're around them, or even if you touch them, or, you pick up people's emotions and energies. I find it really empowering, and I've been through this myself. So this is why I use this in the beginning, especially because I always felt, and I'm a very visual person, so it's in my experience, that I always knew it was there. I was covered in love. I was connected with the angels. You can co-create with Archangel Michael, any of the angels. I use Archangel Michael myself, and you don't have to use an angel. That's why I started with just focusing with, you're still going to do that technique. But as you're doing it, you can ask Archangel Michael to work with you with this as well. The reason I mention him, he is the most powerful archangel next to Source or God, or whatever word you want to use for the higher power. And he is the patron saint of police officers, firemen, and there's nothing that he can't handle. And say you were ever spiritually someplace you weren't feeling comfortable, I even work with them. Say I had to get out of my car in a dark parking lot, believe it or not, and you don't have to say it out loud. I'll say in my head, Archangel Michael, please keep me safe as I walk from my car into this building. And yeah, then he's there with you. And I really do believe in the power of angels. So I hope that helps you guys. If there's any questions, I'm going to read them now. I'd love to hear some of your ideas, if you've come up with what colors you want to use, or visuals if you're comfortable. Or I'd love to hear how creative you've gotten too. Some people use animals, now that I think of it too. I think one person filled the bubble, but they had kind of wrapped around them. It was one of their elementals. I think it was a dragon, because it was a good dragon, but it was a dragon because it felt powerful. You can get super creative. So hang on, I'm going to go through here, but feel free if you've got any questions or something wasn't quite clear. The last thing I do want to add, once you do this the first time, or the first or second time, it literally takes seconds to do. The other thing I'm going to add, eventually, after you've done this for a while and you've gotten very, very, you know it inside and out, okay? You can use a word, and you can put the intention that when you say that word, Like say you say shield or bubble or dragon or angel wings. You can set the intention for that to happen. You put the intention that you want this whole process to go. You're putting the whole process and the intention of it into that word, and it works. So